can't let it die. We have evidence. We went public. I just can't forget it now. So if someone is going to have to look at it. So I have to make that decision. That's a tough decision to make. I'm not accusing anybody until we determine. I haven't accused anybody. We haven't found that out. Give us some time to find it out. The what? Yeah, right. Okay. Yes. I'm not accusing anybody. Because we're going to find out who did it. We don't have the person yet. What do you mean accusing anybody? That's what we're working to find out who did it. Then we'll talk about it. Pardon? I just said I'm going to have to make a decision whether to have congressional hearings or turn it over to an appropriate law enforcement agency, whether it's in Hawaii or overseas, and make that decision. We're only going to take a couple more questions, and you can answer that. What about Occidental, Columbia, and Harvard University? Didn't they have a duty to release that information if he was attending their schools as a foreign student in defense of the Constitution? Didn't they have a... Part of the ongoing discussions with the sheriff is to determine what other documentation we think we could successfully secure. Let me say one thing. You're asking questions. I don't know who you are. I'm not going to criticize you. But you personify what a lot of people are talking about, that have been talking about for, 2-3 years, whatever it is. And I'm staying away from that. I just wanted to get the facts of this situation. We've been doing this investigation. We have quite a bit more information. But I'm not going to go public innuendos or anything else unless we have good evidence, good probable cause. So that's why I'm just sticking with these issues and not answering all the other questions that have been up in the universe, as you all know. I'm just sticking to this. And we get this over with, then we'll decide what to do. That's the... You're correct on that. We came up with possible crimes. We're going to investigate that. And the crimes happen to be, alleged crimes, happen to deal with a birth certificate and a card, an immigration card. But we, during the course of this, naturally come up with much more information on the president's situation. But I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm just sticking with this. I think the media should understand the evidence we have right now and stick with that, and then see what happens as we try to solve this case, Mark, and find out who did it. It's just like any other criminal investigation. Well, I don't know. You say out of the executive office. We haven't accused anyone out of the White House, the president. We haven't accused anyone of anything. I have no idea. That I think you're taking it where no one has ever gone before. I don't know about that. I'm not accusing the president. This is on a come. Let's wait and see how we can develop this information on the birth certificate, possible fraud, possible forgery. That's how we came up with this information, which I think is very, very important right now. We want to get to the bottom of this. I think everybody's asking this question. Mr. President, please come up with some other information where you were born. If this isn't true, the birth certificate, come up with some other information, and then everybody will go away. I'll say, I'm sorry, I didn't waste any money on this. But I think, well, at least I stimulated some interest in here, and I think we all win in our country. We don't want this to continue. You know it's been continuing on and on and on. I like to think maybe we're doing something to resolve this problem once and for all. I have nothing against the President of the United States. I respect his position. He works hard. I have nothing against him. But this is something that has to be settled.
What kind of action was you take, Sheriff?
Right now, we want to see if these are forgeries and fraud. We want to find the perpetrators, no matter where those suspects may be. Just like any other forgery case, I think we have a little experience. I just would like to see the president, if he can come up with some other documentation to put this to rest. That's kind of answer that one. Thanks for that question.
I was hoping that one didn't come up. The birth announcements and that birth registry, which is just line items. We have not information, we have evidence. And we can prove beyond a doubt that not only are foreign births registered in those birth announcements and the line item registrations, we also know and have let me correct myself, we also have documented evidence of 2 adopted individuals that were breathing 3 years prior were listed as newborn infants. It's not creditable because it doesn't tell us anything. We know a birth took place, and maybe a little homework to clear it up. In 2000, let me finish. That's the newspapers. The way that happens, it happens with the newspapers. There's no distinction as to where someone was born. There's no distinction if they were adopted. They're just listed. It's not creditable information. In 2000, the Inspector General issued a report about the rampant problem of birth certificate fraud. And within the opening paragraphs of his report, he states that a birth certificate's intended purpose was only to register the event of a live birth, not anything else, and in and of itself is not credible information to prove identification or citizenship. There has to be other documentation to be considered. That's right from the government. We didn't do that.
So how did he get a passport? You know, somebody had to examine some documents to give the man a passport.
If you want to, I don't want to. Sir, our investigation is still ongoing, and that's a great question. I just cannot answer it here for you today. That's a Second Amendment issue, and I'm not here to answer that.
Listen, this is continuing. We're not done yet. I want to thank Dr. Corsi and everybody, and we're going to do the best we can to resolve this matter. It's not over, and I appreciate you coming. I hope you will look at the proof or look at the documents, stick with that, not all this other politics and everything else. Stick with what we said today, and you make your own judgment as to whether it's credible or not.
Sure. He was born in, you know, sir, candidly, I don't believe so because I was born in 1960 and I know what my birth certificate looks like. I don't have these. It truly doesn't. I wish I could tell you something different. It just doesn't.